going to do a recap of day 5. It's the last game of round 2 before the tiebreaker start tomorrow. All right, let's get it started. Okay, Magnus needed to draw to win the match, and he wasn't in any danger, so he played for a win. Now, these are positions which I've discussed every day with you guys, where the engine says it's all zeros, but only white can win. Black can't win. No matter how badly Magnus plays, he'll draw. However, if Martinović plays badly, he will lose, and then some. So even though it's all zeros, that's insinuating that black plays perfectly. White can play like a doofus. Okay, so white has a simple plan, move his king here, and his other plan is to take that. So bishop d6 is clearly the best move. Then they move their kings up. Okay, and again, the engine says not only is it all zeros, but that every move is all zeros. And usually that means it's an easy draw, but it's not. White's king is better, white's pawn structure is better, and I mean, the knight's better than the bishop. The knight can go everywhere, and the bishop's sort of stuck. So it should be a draw, but white has all the winning chances. These kinds of positions, super GMs who are, let's say, 2750 and higher, something like that, they're really good at drawing these worst positions. Lower-rated players are not good at drawing worst positions, but they are good at complaining and saying, oh, it was a drawn position. They're good at that. I should have drawn. The position was drawn. The engine said all zeros. They're good at doing that and then losing. But you got to actually draw the position. Frankly, terrible. A lot of the games that I win against people rated 2,000 to 2,400, if you want to know if it's FIDE or USCF, it's first one, then the other. We just have endings where the engine says it's equal, and then I win, and then they're like, I should have drawn. I mean, in chess, you no, you should have, you did or you didn't. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, a6, that's not an engine move. Engine doesn't like it, because black's pawns are now fixed, and white can try to attack them. The engine prefers bishop here, here, or here. I mean, I wouldn't play b6. That's the last move I would play. Because after a6, I would be really worried. Then the engine says b5 is fine. I'm not doing that. Okay. Magnus played this really interesting move, knight here. And he's tempting his opponent to play this move. And his opponent was tempted. And it seems obvious to anybody white's going to go here. Magnus did not do that. Magnus played the much more interesting knight d3, because he's thinking, if you take this, I'll check, and then I'll take this b pawn. And, then black has two isolated pawns. White has a passed c pawn. The bishop on a5 is attacked. So let's see what the engine thinks about that. You can't play king d6 because of the fork, so you have to go the other way. Yeah, and this is... thanks, Dusty Lupus, for the $3.54. For some reason, I didn't hear that. Shouldn't I have heard that? Is that something I should hear? And I didn't hear it, but I don't know why. Volumes at 70. Wait, LG? That's not right. That's the wrong volume. Okay. Yeah, now I know I didn't hear it. Yeah, all of my equipment is used for a chess camp. Then when the camp's over, we put everything back and change everything. And that's never happened where it changed what speakers we're using. Usually that's not something that changes. It's weird. So now if somebody... Yeah, thanks, Curious Chimpanzee. It should work now. Yeah. Yeah, it should just work now. If it doesn't work now, then I got to fix it again. Also, when I make moves, they're making noise when I make moves. Did they make noise before? Probably they didn't, and I didn't notice. Anyway, it should work now. Yeah. Okay. So this is better for white because those pawns are weak. So he didn't allow knight c5 check. He played bishop d6. b3, just chilling. Now, in this position, for some reason, Fleetwood Mac showed up to watch the event. There's no spectators allowed, but they gave them a special dispensation. And the guy with black didn't know what to do. Like, if he goes here, this. If he goes here, then this. If he moves his king, then this. So they saying you can go your own way. Now, it turns out the engine still says every move draws. Okay, crazy like Fox News. So he played one of them, bishop e7. Okay. Now, in this position, after move 50, bishop e7, it looks like, well, wait a minute, why did you just give this pawn away? And he didn't give the pawn away. He goes here, and he wins that pawn, and it's a dead draw. Then it's really drawn. Okay, so Magnus played b4, and he went back, still a draw, c4. Now, the engine only likes bishop c7. The difference between knight here, knight takes pawn check, then and now, is in those positions we looked at earlier, that we had taken the a pawn, so you couldn't play king d6. Knight takes was forking the king and bishop. Now, he played bishop f8, which is a mistake. Always play bishop f8. If you play this, and Magnus is like, give me that pawn, then the knight, there's nowhere to go. And then after this, we have the simple trick, and then it's a dead draw. Everything's a draw. And the game would end like this. Very nice end. Yeah. Okay. And then draw. All right. But he didn't do that because that's a lot of calculation. So he played this move thinking, all right, if he takes this, I'll take that. That's a draw. That is correct. But Magnus played c5, and now you can't play bishop d6. So now black is actually worse. It's still a draw, but now you got to be careful because you're going to lose a pawn. Okay, he played bishop h6, which is a blunder because he was thinking knight takes pawn, bishop d2, the knight goes back to d3, and then he just chills. It's like, all right, and then just chill. How are you going to win? Can't move that, can't move that, can't move that. Don't want to let black's king walk in. Can't move your knight. Draw. Okay. And let's see what happened here. Yeah. All right. Now, it turns out white's better here, too, because white can check and play this. But probably it's a draw. Okay. And unfortunately, Magnus played b5. Now, b5 is also a draw, but now it's tough. And people that are using their engines, like me, they're like, oh, the guy's blundering. What's wrong with him? I mean, you can't cheat with the engine. So easy to blunder. In this position, one move draws and every other move loses. And the move that draws doesn't look like a move you want to play. So it's understandable in mild time trouble and the fact that he knows the match is over. Because if the game ends in a draw, still loses the match. So, I mean, you know, it's tough to play black here. Truth hurts. Let's see. Etc. Now, also, as you notice, behind me, we have those pictures. We're going to get a new picture of Fabi getting the COVID vaccine. No. GM Canty subscribed. Finally, a GM watching my stream. Okay, so the only move that draws is king d7, which hangs the pawn with check. But that's the only move that draws. Then you take, then you play king c8, and the engine says this is a draw, but white, it's much better for white. But the engine doesn't see any way white can win. So b6 is the only winning attempt. And then bishop d2, attacking this pawn. Knight c4 is the only winning attempt. Bishop b4, and, black just chills. King b8 and just doesn't do anything. How's white going to win? If white moves the knight, I take this and I have a passed a pawn. And if you play c6 at some point, you're trading pawns, which you don't want to do. And this looks like maybe it's winning, but it's not. I play bishop here. The thing is, this is perfect. It's better than perfect. Perfection is crap next to this. White has everything where he wants it, but it's his move. You can move your king back and you can't move your knight. So you can't go here because I take it. So the best move according to the engine is b7. Makes sense. Maybe you take this pawn. And then we chill. Bishop e1. Always chilling. And the reason king b6 doesn't win, there's one reason. And this is why black didn't play this way, because you have to see all this. This looks dead lost. I take this and you resign. But this draws. And if king takes, I take your pawn. And if knight takes, it's stalemate. All right, so that's like a tricky draw, but it draws. So the engines say king d7 is a draw. And even then, black has to play pretty well. Okay, so obviously you can't calculate all that unless you have like 2 hours. So you didn't calculate it all. That's actually funny. Okay, so instead he blundered, then Magnus blundered, then he blundered, then Magnus blundered, and then everybody's like, Magnus is a genius. Magnus is the greatest player of all time. Magnus. Then they have to go to the hospital because they hurt their fingers typing Magnus so much, etc. Very strange. Mad Hatter PNG subscribed. Good. Go GM Canty. You're the best. Okay. So instead of king d7, black made the losing move. A takes b5. And now, if you know about pawn breakthroughs, c6 is pretty obvious. If you take on c6, I queen my a pawn. So you can't take on c6. Well, then white's going to take on b7. The game, now white's winning. Okay. King d6, another mistake. Bishop f8 lasts longer. But, you probably wanted to go home. So, okay, king d6. C takes b7. King c7, obviously. a6, obviously. Bishop f8. Always play bishop f8. Okay, now white has 2 winning moves. King d5 or knight takes e5. Magnus played one of them. Good. Okay, bishop d6. Now, Magnus played double question mark move, throwing away the win. And when this game was going on, after Fleetwood Mac came in, Phil Collins came in. Man, should I have said Genesis? I think it's just Phil Collins. Yeah, and, the arbiters were telling Phil Collins, because he doesn't know how to play chess, like, Magnus going to win. And then after Magnus's next move, out of the blue, Phil sang, throwing it all away. All right. Right. So here he blundered. After king here, resigns is the best move. Resigns is forced. There's no other move. There's no move that makes any sense except resigns. Here's why. If I play knight d7 or knight c6, I'm threatening the queen, and you can move your king, and the bishop protects this. Well, if the bishop moves, that's not the case. If you play here, if you move anywhere with your bishop, I go here, and then I queen. So you can't do that. If you do this, this is an easy king and pawn and win. So b4 is the only move that makes any sense at all. Okay, now knight c6 threatening the queen. You have to move your king. You can go here. Stop it. You can go here or here. If you go here, I play a7. And if you play king b6, I take this and I queen. So king d5 is instant resignation. But Magnus wanted to be cute because it's hard not to want to be cute. You want to play like a cute move. And usually somebody who's, world champion and top of all time, they're just all business. Karpov's playing king d5 here when he's world champion. Okay, Botvinnik's playing king d5. Spassky's playing king d5. Smyslov's playing king d5. But Magnus, he doesn't mind being cute. He doesn't mind. So he thought everything wins, I'll win this way. Okay, which does not win. And this is the only move that wins, actually. And the gawking rabble is saying that Magnus instantly played knight d7. The obvious idea is I'm queening, and if you take my knight, I go here, and I'm queening. So what's weird about this, from Magnus's perspective, is there's only one move to analyze for black, and that move draws. Man, we're going to get big donations now. God damn. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So playing knight d7 quickly, or even playing it at all, he basically should be ashamed of himself. And I was told, because I sent an email to the organizers, and I'm like, Magnus played knight d7? And they went, no, Magnus was in the bathroom. So Henrik Carlsen, his dad, came up and played knight d7. Then when Magnus came back, he's like, what the hell? So that it was still Carlsen, so the arbiters allowed it. Also, we haven't had a train yet. Skill 3RTV subscribed and said, go Ben. Correct. Look at this horrible blunder Magnus played. Where are you? Huh?
I have to finish something real quick.
Ah, you didn't see the horrible blunder Magnus made. No, but he's so good that he won anyway.
Getting a printout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, since the engine's looking 1 billion moves ahead, it says king d5 is mate in 15. But king d5 is really easy to analyze. If the bishop moves anywhere, then knight c6 wins, or knight d7. If the bishop takes, king takes, it's obviously a win. And if b4, knight c6 obviously wins. So, or knight d7. So, I mean, this is just easy win. And this move, the reason Magnus shouldn't play it is if he's like, what should black do? Which he does every move. There's only one move he can make that makes any sense at all. Obviously, you can't let me queen with check. You can't take the knight and allow a7. You have to move your king so the bishop defends b8. And you can't move your king to d8 because I play a7. So that leaves one move, and that move draws. So it's weird. I don't know. Okay, he played king c6, and now the game's a draw. With correct play. I didn't say they played correct, but... So knight d7 is a really bad move for someone of the ilk of Magnus, especially known for his endgame prowess. Big money, no whammy, stop. $9.99. Hey, Marriott today. Actually, you were here when Italy beat England, and you said it's coming Rome or something funny. You made some joke, some pun that everybody else made. Yay! Go Marriott today. Yeah, we want to go back to Rome or Italy or something. We want to do something. We're definitely going to go back to Italy in the next 2 or 3 years because we loved Italy. Yeah, go Italy. Very poor ilk. That's right. Yeah. So what was I watching? I'm still watching the series even though it's 10 years old. Sorry. I didn't watch it when it was on. I'm watching Baskets. I'm on season 3. And the annoying brother, because he plays the twins, the one who's annoying, he says to his mom, the somebody in I don't like their ilk or whatever. And then the mom says, you don't like elk? And he says, no, Mom, I said ilk. It's the word of the day. Like he has a word of the day. 999 sentences. Council of Rooks. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, now, there's only one move that a lower rated player would analyze here, and that's queening. By the way, if you play here, then I take and, yeah. Okay. Just so you know. Okay, so queen, takes, check. Now, one of these moves draws, and one of them loses. The more obvious one draws, although I would think this draws too, but it does not. This move loses for a very funny reason. White to move and win, there's only one winning move. Confusing the audience. Thanks, the real Greg. I have to refresh again? I'm not seeing a train. I don't see a train, and I've refreshed like 4 times. Frankly, delicious. Does that mean there's no train? Boo, boo. Yeah, A7 does not win. King B7, Knight C6 is a book draw. You can't win that. This is actually something you should know. Yeah, it doesn't matter if I have this pawn. That doesn't matter. Yeah, this is a book draw, this position. King here, Papa John's. This is a known book draw. After King A8, you have to let me play King B7, because it's stalemate if you don't. And then after King B7, I can always play King A8. So you can't win. This is a draw. Okay, that's actually a known draw. So in this position, King C7 loses, as somebody in the chat pointed out, Knight D7. And now black can't approach the pawn, and black can't take the knight. So, white could just win this way if he wants, or this way if he wants. Doesn't matter. Now it's just winning. So after knight takes, King B6 does draw, and the threat is king here. And if I take your knight, I draw. If I take your A pawn, I draw. No move that you make stops King A7. Draw. Okay, so Magnus didn't play B8 and draw. Magnus played King D4. Now, black draws very simply by playing Bishop C7 to D6. That's it. Draw. Nobody can do anything. So he did. Okay, good. Good start. Okay. Great. And then, unfortunately, he played quadruple question mark Bishop G3. I don't know why he didn't just keep playing Bishop D6 to C7. I don't know. I mean, Magnus can't be doing any of this stuff because, he's going to lose. You got to watch it. Right? Magnus has to keep his king, So it's just a dead draw. Here, draw. There's like no analysis. So the only reason to play here is you think like this is happening, and when he plays king here, you want to check him away, which doesn't work. So this was just nonsensical. He did here, he did here, he did here. Then he's like, wait, I can still lose. So this is a horrible blunder because now Magnus can block the bishop from the queenside pawns. Knight e5 check. So bishop g3 is an absurd move. Why would you want your bishop not defend? What? I've never been so mad. Yeah. Well, this guy's a good player, but, truth hurts. Yeah. Sometimes you blunder. I still didn't see a train, but maybe I missed it. Because we got the 9.99, and then we got, maybe it resubscribed. 2 months. I guess we didn't have a train. All right. Anyway, so King C7 is obviously forced. King E4. Now, now it's losing. Now he can't win. Or he can't draw anymore. Okay, B4, Knight D7, threatening to queen, so you have to play King C6, King D3. And what's funny is, if this pawn's here, as Topolov pointed out, it's a draw. But he had to play B4 in this position because he didn't have another move. If he plays Bishop H2, then I go here. And if you play B4, it's the same thing. And if you play, something, I go here, and I'm going to win. There's nothing you can do. You can't play king here, or king here, which you need to do. You can't play king here because I play a7. So this is just resigns. You can't let that king go to d5. So you play b4, distracting the king. Right. And if the pawn was here, if he could play check, he could draw now. But too bad. So he tried to defend his pawn, but trying is the first step to failure. Yeah, and now he's in Wang Chung. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. The bishop has to defend b8, and it has to defend the pawn on b4. d6 is the only square he can do that. The black king has to stay on c6. If the king is somewhere else, white plays a7 and wins. And if king c7, I queen. So you have to move your bishop and give this pawn away now. There's nothing. You're in Zugzwang. So he did. And then, by the way, Topalov or Naroditsky, one of them, I forgot which one, pointed out king d4 to come around does not win, but king d3 does. Now black has a brilliant saving move, king takes knight. And a7, which always wins, does not win, because check and take the pawn. So king d4 would have been a colossal blunder drawing the game, but Magnus played king d3, and he's coming. Knight e5 check is unnecessary. He could just, but okay, this is fine. King c7's forced, and now he can't move. And I think he resigned here. Yeah. So Magnus wins the drawn ending after the guy blundered and was losing. Magnus blundered and it was a draw. Then the guy blundered and he was losing. The strangest part of that, I don't know if it was knight d7 or bishop g3. I don't know. Because knight d7, like, this is such a stupid move because this resigns. Like, this is just resigns. So it's weird to go here. And then when black is repeating the position by moving his bishop back and forth, and then he's like, oh, I'll go there. And then after knight e5, his bishop, I mean, what? Why would you want your bishop, bishop d6 to c7 was working out great. And the only reason to play bishop g3 is like you're afraid of the king coming in. If the king goes to f6, that pawn's really strong. You can't go here now because I go take it. But that's as far as the king can go. You can't keep going because this guy's going to keep going. So that was just very strange. And when the game ended, Magnus obviously said like just bishop d6 to c7 is a draw. But I don't think Magnus knew that knight d7 threw it away, but maybe he did. Like, maybe he thought in this position it's a draw, but it was a draw anyway. I don't know if he thought that, because if he plays king d5, like, black resigns. So I don't know what Magnus was thinking when he played knight d7. It's possible he missed king c6, but I don't know. That's weird. King d5 wins so easily, and it's the most natural move. I think he thought they both won, and this wins quicker. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, bishop g3 is weird after you're just repeating the draw, and then I'll go here and lose. All right. Now, of course, for the score of the match, it doesn't matter. If the game was a draw, Magnus goes on to the next round. But still, black against Magnus, when you're not a famous person, and you draw when the guy's trying to beat you the whole game, that's pretty good. Etc. All right, so he realized.